Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Shotashara Shatashi Srimad. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Shotashara Shatashi Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. We'll start with the introduction prayers on page 1. Om Ajnana Tarandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Meritana Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padamaham Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Vanamani Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Namo Namaha.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Continuing with Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Chapter 16 entitled The Divine and Demoniac Natures. Text 13 through 15. Idam madhya maya labdham imam prapyase manoratam idam astidam api me bhavishyati purnardanam asumaya hata shatrur hanishye chaparanapi ishvaroham aham bhogi siddhoham balavan sukhi Adhyo bijaya manasmi komyosti sadormaya lakshe dasmi vishe itya ajnana vimohitaha. Translation: the demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future, more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemy will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices, I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are diluted by ignorance. Text 16. Aneka chitta viparita moha jala samavrita prasakta kama bhogeshu padani nekareshu jo. Translation: thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, one becomes too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and falls down into hell. Text 17. Atma sambhavita stabdha dana mana manavitaha vijante namayantiste dambeya vidhurvikam. Translation: self-complacent and always impotent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes perform sacrifices in name only without following any rules or regulations. Text 18. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham chamashitaha mamatma paradishu pradvishanto prasukaraha. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demon becomes envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in his own body and in the bodies of others, in blasphemies against the real religion. Text 19. Dhanaham dvishta kuran samsareshu naradharman shipshami tatmaram shubhan Asuripseshu yonishu. Translation: Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Text 20. Asurim yogim appana mula janmani mama praya kunteya tato yantaram. Translation. Attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable types of existence. Text 21. Trividham narakshedam avirashnamatmana kama krodhastata lobhas tasmadetatrayam jajit. Translation. There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to degradation of the soul. Text 22. Eter vimuktam vanteya tamodaraistabir naraha acharatyam manasreshtas tatoyati palam gatim. Translation. The man who has escaped the 3 gates of hell, O son of Kunti, performs acts conducive to self-realization, and thus gradually attains the supreme destination. Text 23. Ya shastra vitim mutrascha vartache kamakarata nasa siddhim avoknoti nasukam na param gatim. Translation. But he who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness, nor the supreme destination. And lastly, text 24. Tasmak chastram parmanante kartyaktaravyathistito yatva shastra lokam karma kruto mahishati. Translation. One should understand what his duty is and what is not his duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so he may be gradually elevated. Okay, we'll go back to text 13 through 15. Maharaj, would you like to speak something, please? Okay, so 13 through 15, the translation reads, the demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemy will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices. I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. I. Right? People in the concept of me, mine, I. They just want to obtain something for their self or for their friends or relatives. And in that way, they're selfish and they're in ignorance. They haven't quite taken to the knowledge, the highest knowledge. So, Lord Krishna, he's giving a description of the ignorant people in this verse. And the verses following, he's describing the miscreants, the mudhas. Text 17, it reads, self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige. They sometimes perform sacrifices in name only, without following any rules or regulations. There's whimsical sacrifices that they are performing, right? The ignorant. Lord Krishna, he's giving a critique on man who is in this state of knowledge. And in this day and age, people often, they don't think it's okay to be judgmental. This is the society norm. This is politically correct this day and age. We shouldn't be judging somebody. Everybody's saying, they don't want any judgment, right? There's even a Bible verse, he who is without sin cast the first stone. So in this way, they're saying that one should be completely devoid of all sin or any questionable activity. And in that way, that person may be qualified then to make some kind of judgment towards fellow man or any other living entity. So, this is, the devotee, he does accept this philosophy to some extent, because the devotee is taking a humble position and he's saying that I am in no way qualified to judge any living entity. Who am I to judge, right? Because he considers himself very lowly. He knows that he was a rascal, he is a rascal, and only by following the teachings of a fully realized soul, our founder Acharya HG Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, were we ever able to come out of this rascaldom. So he does accept this philosophy that, he shouldn't be judging, but here, his Lord and Master, Lord Sri Krishna, he is judging. Right? He's judging the different living entities, and he's actually, he's not so whimsical, Lord Krishna, and neither was his peer representative, Srila Prabhupada. So it is our responsibility to deliver the message of truth of Bhagavad Gita that Lord Krishna speaks on this battlefield. And if that means, due to different time, places, or circumstances, that, we have to make some kind of judgment towards others, then so be that. Of course, we should not be looking at ourselves like I am. We shouldn't use this judgment to get puffed up. And if you think about it, somebody who is going to abide by this philosophy of not judging anybody, this is a common philosophy for somebody who is not following themselves because they don't want to be judged, right? If all the criminals, they got together and they held a vote, on different ways that society should be run, I'm sure this may come up, oh yeah, nobody should be judging, and everybody's hand would go up because nobody themselves are doing right. So they don't want anybody to place blame on them because they don't want it to be brought to the public's attention. So judging in a society that is not behaving in a very godly way is looked down upon, in public at least, right? Because the people, they will go behind the back of those who they feel like judging, and they'll whisper in their friend's ear and make some side judgment, right? This is just another form of hypocrisy. The form of the Kali Yuga is full of quarrel and hypocrisy, and this is just another example of this. So there's Maharaj, do you have a comment?
Yes.
Okay.
When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was discussing with Digvijay Keshav Kashmiri, the great Sanskrit scholar who traveled around the world conquering everybody with his learning. So at that time, Lord Chaitanya was just young, and he was a teacher. He had a little school, but it was a grammar school. Like we have our grammar schools. That's usually grades 1 through 6. In my day, that's what it was called, grammar school. And a grammar school teacher couldn't dare to have a debate with a professor at a big university, teaching, the highest level or something. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took a very humble position. And when they met near the Ganga, Lord Chaitanya humbly said, "You are so exalted in your learning, and I'm just insignificant. I don't know anything." He said, "But perhaps you could compose some verses glorifying the Ganga." So he did so. Keshav Kashmiri immediately composed 100 beautiful verses. Lord Chaitanya said, "There's no one like you in the world with your ability." He said, "But would you mind if I told you that there were some very excellent points you made and there were some faults also?" He said, "There's only excellent points, no faults." He said, "Well," and he said, "How could you judge the faults? You're just a grammar school teacher." He said, "Well, let's try. Myself, I'm not qualified, but I've heard others judge the faults of other authorities, so I would be just explaining." I said, "Okay, let's hear." So the Lord Chaitanya very humbly presented the good points first, and Keshav Kashmiri was appreciating that he saw some of the good points, and then he began to point out the faults. And the philosopher or the scholar was devastated. And anyway, the rest of the story goes on. But the point here is that he was so humble that he didn't want to defeat the person so that they would be demoralized. Rather, he wanted to defeat them so that they would want to become more purified. And that requires humility. Srila Prabhupada had a great ability to do that. No matter how strongly he defeated someone, they never felt that they were crushed or that he was envious of them or he hated them or they disliked him. They appreciated this person is truly my well-wisher. He's trying to help me. He's trying to give me the right way. So that's an important feature in presenting things today, especially as you say, because it's a sin it's a sin to be judgmental. But when it comes to whether to be judgmental or not, they become very judgmental about that you shouldn't be judgmental. So it's quite an awkward situation, but some of our great preachers have learned how to somehow or other get the points across without turning them against hearing. So that's a great art.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj, for relating that pastime, making the nice connection. It's a very nice pastime. Indeed, this scholar who is nicknamed Digvijay, which means one who has traveled all around, he was going all around defeating so many different scholars, and when he got to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was living in Navadvip at the time, which was known for a center of very, very learned scholars, he didn't think anything of this grammar school teacher being able to defeat him. And he composed these verses about Mother Ganga so quickly that it seemingly it was impossible to actually comprehend even what this learned scholar was saying. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not only he comprehended it, but he memorized all of it, and he was able to find the good points and the faults, and he pointed them out herewith, like Maharaj said. And this scholar, he was a worshiper of Lakshmi Devi herself, and she had granted Saraswati Devi, the goddess of learning herself, and she had granted, benedictions to this scholar to be fully in knowledge. And he was embarrassed and actually taken back when he heard Lord Chaitanya's reply. He was left speechless, thinking, how did Saraswati take away all my knowledge? What's going on? He was totally bamboozled, just like bewildered, And so Lord Chaitanya, the students, they started laughing when he was defeated. And Lord Chaitanya immediately told them, you need to be quiet. You can't. He recognized that this is his everything, is this position as this big puffed up scholar, and I can't destroy him in front of everyone else because it'll surely just shatter him. So actually he arranged that the scholar found out through transcendental message. Goddess Saraswati appeared to him that night after he went home and reviewed the matter in a dream, and she revealed to him, actually, this personality that defeated you is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Don't tell anyone this. So in this way, not only he was expert at defeating, and somebody who is very puffed up coming all around the world, acting like he's very godly or something, but he was very, very gentle in the way that he defeated this scholar. And he was very considerate of the way it was revealed to Digvijay. And in that way, he understood that this was surely the real worshipable Lord, none different than Sri Krishna himself. So this is a very, very nice pastime. So these people who are deluded by these different qualities, false prestige, wealth, they perform some kind of sacrifice, but it's just maybe some showboat sacrifice, just according to their own whimsical nature. Srila Prabhupada, Krishna, he defines them as mudhas. There's the verse, Namam duskritano mudha prapadyante naradamaha. So Krishna, he's making a judgment back to this topic, very fact of the matter of these type of people. And he's being a bit harsh. But the Lord, he has every right to make these judgments, and he needs to actually tell us how to distinguish different types of people, or else we won't know how to make the distinction ourselves. So these people, they're simply on some kind of temporary mental platform, who have these qualities, and it's like they're in a dream. They're just busy dreaming. Dreaming. They're going on, everything's a dream. Their family is hungry, meanwhile they can't do their duty because they're busy dreaming. Right? But then the person dreaming, he says, he can't help his family much. His kids are coming to him saying, I'm hungry, Daddy, please bring some food to the table. And he's saying, but I had such a nice dream that I got so much food. No, it doesn't do much to just dream, just live in this world, this fantasy world. And unfortunately, this is what society lives in. They're not living in reality. And it's very sad when we go out in public to see everyone like this. So the best thing that we can do for them is the highest welfare work known to man, is by giving them Srila Prabhupada's books and helping them get in contact with the pure representative of the Lord, because in this way the message is pure. And these people, they may have so many unanswered questions, so many doubts, so much doubt in God, because the God that their parents showed them, it doesn't check out completely. There's holes in the philosophy because it's been skewed by man, because it doesn't come from a parampara system or there's been some hypocrisy in the church. I know there's so many cases going around of, priests catching some kinds of charges, etc., because they're not practicing what they preach in other forms of religion. Whereas what's very special about this Krishna consciousness is everyone that is preaching a philosophy, especially in these temple environments, are living by a practical example, and they are practicing what they preach. So this is very important. You cannot learn to stop smoking from somebody who's smoking a cigarette, right? You cannot learn to give up sense gratification from somebody who is making no endeavor to give up sense gratification. You cannot learn proper worship of the Lord from somebody who is living a demoniac life. So this is essential. These are qualities of a real teacher. And Srila Prabhupada, he was a real teacher and then some. He was a perfect gentleman. Distinguished. I was reading Lilamrita today, and there was an example, something very simple. He had been talking to one woman, and she was of Indian descent, and they were both here in the States, in New York. And she had just briefly mentioned something to him, just a side point in one of their conversations, that they were talking about Indian cuisine. And she said, "Oh yes, I haven't had a samosa in so long. I really like samosas." And Prabhupada, he took it upon himself to cook very nice samosas for this lady. And next time in their meeting, he brought nice samosas thinking of her. This is a perfect gentleman. It's just somebody who they see anybody, they meet anyone for the first time, they ask their name, some details about them. And upon the second meeting, immediately he would remember their name and recognize that this is a parcel of my Lord. This is a fellow living entity. He had so much respect. Not to mention, he was just a perfect, articulate teacher. So the glories of Srila Prabhupada are endless. And we're all very fortunate to be here to celebrate his disappearance today. So we'll take another verse, text 19. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Would somebody like to read the purport that Srila Prabhupada writes? Dr. Gio?
In this verse, it is clearly indicated that the placing of a particular individual soul in a particular body is a prerogative of the Supreme Will. The demoniac person may not agree to accept the supremacy of the Lord, and it is a fact that he may act according to his own whims. But his next birth will depend upon the decision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and not on himself. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, it is stated that an individual soul, after his death, is put into the womb of a mother, where he gets a particular type of body under the supervision of superior power. Therefore, in the material existence, we find so many species of life, animals, insects, men, and so on. All are arranged by the superior power. They are not accidental. As for the demoniac, it is clearly said here that they are perpetually put into the wombs of demons, and thus they continue to be envious, the lowest of mankind. Such demoniac species of life are always full of lust, always violent and hateful, and always unclean. They are just like so many beasts in the jungle.
Thank you, Prabhu. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that these people are animalistic, just like beasts in the jungle. There's different accusations that may be held towards the devotees, that we're always calling people rascals and beasts in the jungle, animalistic. We're not in a position to call other people names or anything like that. Srila Prabhupada, I mean, he was a pure representative of God, so he certainly was, but we saw also he took a very, very humble position, especially when he first came to the U.S. And he went to he was at the YMCA, but what was the family's name that was hosting him again?
Agarwal.
The Agarwals, yes. He even went into their home. He was invited to stay in their home, and he wasn't even telling them to change any of their sinful ways of life. And they were, in fact, a bit embarrassed, that they saw who this great saintly personality was. They got to live with them. And they, in fact, said, I think it's better that you stay at the YMCA, because, I'm sure Prabhupada wasn't telling them to change their ways. He was taking a very humble position. When he came home one day and the Mataji, she was cooking meat, and he said, no problem. She said, Swamiji, I know this probably disturbs you. He said, no problem, carry on. So he took a very humble position, especially in the early years. So in our early years, it's not that we should perhaps go around calling people rascals and calling people out for all their sinful nonsense they're doing. We should take a very humble position. In this way we can take Srila Prabhupada as a nice example in this way. So these people in the purport, Srila Prabhupada's describing, they go on and they're busy making so many different kinds of plans. And in these plans, they're hoping to fulfill some kind of desire. And this desire, whether it's fulfilled or left unfulfilled, it's creating some kind of subtle body around the soul. And in this way, so many desires are in the mind. And at the time of death, it's creating so many more avenues for this soul to take, rather than a soul into the spiritual world or into a devotee family where they even have a better chance of going back to Godhead. They're making so many plans, the materialist is. And in this way, they're confused and deluded, and they will continue taking birth and birth. So there's this phrase, ashtapashta, or ashapasha. Pasha is this weapon that Lord Shiva uses, the snake noose weapon, right? And then asha is simply hoping all the time. So these demoniac persons, they're going about life just with all of these different hopes for sense gratification, and to put a stop to some part of their misery just for a moment and mistake it for happiness. So in this way, they're completely confused, and it's difficult for them to consider anything about spirituality or what we have to say without the proper purification. And this proper purification is the simple and blissful process that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us, chanting, dancing, and feasting. And without sufficient chanting, dancing, and feasting, there's no way that one can come to actually understand this philosophy properly, because this is not like a material subject matter that you can just open up in some textbook and scrutinizingly study. No, this is something spiritual that is revealed to the sincere student who inquires submissively from the spiritual master and takes his instructions as his heart and soul. So this is our position, and in order to try to bring these people who have been in darkness for so long to the platform of understanding the philosophy and actually shaping a practical lifestyle around the philosophy, we have to stress this chanting, dancing, and feasting. This is very important. And the chanting and dancing, they may not do. I mean, like Prabhu was saying, everyone likes to dance, but they may feel uncomfortable. Not everyone likes to chant at first. They may not like to chant at all. But if we can prepare delicious foodstuffs to satisfy their tongue in some way, then they can make some progress on this path. And just like that, we hold this Sunday love feast every Sunday, We have people who come and they love our prasadam. They come every Sunday just around prasadam time because they know when it hits. And they happily take a big plate of prasad. This way the people get purified. And then they can start to associate more because they're taking at the temple. They can get some misconceptions answered by a different devotee like that. And this is the wonderful process that Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended we do. So let us try to do that, just that, and go on with this Harinam Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Are there any comments or questions that anyone else would like to make before we wrap up this evening? Yes, Jivatoya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Text 19, those who are envious or are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, and we're told that the soul is, without birth or death, that is permanent, unlike the body. Is there any story of a soul of Krishna annihilating a soul beyond return? Is there any story there? Or can we say confidently that never happened?
Well, the soul is eternal, so it can never be burned or by fire or withered by the wind or cut into pieces. So the soul has been around forever. So therefore it's been around forever and it will be around forever, whether it's in the spiritual world or not. In terms of practical examples of a time where Krishna annihilates a soul, I'm not sure of this annihilation of souls. I don't know how if this takes place or not. I don't think so.
That's why Krishna is saying about Gita. For the soul is neither birth nor death, nor ever once been, has ever ceased to be. So Krishna makes a very strong point. It doesn't happen. So don't think about it.
Thank you, Maharaj. Any more comments or questions? Bhattacharya.
So I have a question, and it's kind of like a doubt as well. But so I'm saying this because I have kind of experience with it. But those people who are kind of demoniac in nature, I'm not. This is just like from what I've seen, but those people who have these qualities, they think these things that was said in text 13 through 15. So why are these people put in? Is there a way that these people can be put into nice pious families or aristocratic families, even if or does it mean that they have put in pious work and they've just gone down the wrong path in this life? Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thanks for the question. It could mean both. It could mean, in fact, that they were born in a high family, for instance, or they did take a birth in a wealthy family. They do have pious credit, but due to bad association and the degradation of the Kali Yuga, they've fallen into, degradation themselves, which is probably one of the most common things. In terms of a way that they can get out of it, they can chant the holy names. Chanting the holy name one time has enough power to eradicate all previous sinful reactions. So the power of the holy name it's very, very deep, the most powerful thing ever. And we should establish firm conviction that this is the most powerful method of meditation, the quickest way for liberation, and beyond. So these people, they can chant the holy name. In fact, they can do any of the 9 processes of devotion, and it will help eradicate different sinful activities, etc. So if we can engage them in some little service, if we can give them a little something philosophical that they can chew on and kind of churn in their mind just to make sense of, what makes the devotee tick, that might help them. We can do anything to try to help these people. And we were all there. We all had these qualities that they're talking about. And due to Srila Prabhupada's mercy of Guru Maharaj, mercy of the Acharyas, like that, we have actually come out of it, and we're making strides to get further and further out of it, not backward strides. So let's never look back and have doubts that, maybe the material world, maybe I was wrong about it. No, it's totally bogus, 100%. And everything that's in these holy books are 100% factual. So we should take it to heart and chant with great enthusiasm. Yes, Murari Prabhu.
I was thinking something similar on also to Jivadaya's Prabhu's question that the living entity is put to such abominable situation because of bad association actually. And if we don't go, from the bad association, so we will keep in such condition. So like you said, that it's so important to to change the association. Like even if somebody want to be like professional, like sporter in some way, he needs to associate with such kind of people. So also if we want to come to higher consciousness, and not be like these verses describe the demoniac mentality. So we need to associate with persons. Otherwise, we will be put to the holy condition again and again, because this is our desire, because of the environment in which we are, we desire things. So, and what we are desiring, so the way we are going. So.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice comments. Yes, you become the company that you keep. Very nice point. Yes, Radhastali Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Earlier, Maharaj was talking about how Prabhupada was able to tell devotees about their faults without them feeling, defeated, because he was their well-wisher. And so my question is, what do we do when what do we do about envy? Because I find myself experiencing these feelings when I talk to some people and some devotees, and it holds me back from, really connecting and being their well-wisher as much as I want to be. So can you speak on that a little bit?
Specifically with devotees?
Whatever you want to, either one.
Something nice that helps dealing with envy, specifically with devotees, is no matter what service you're going about doing, you praise their good qualities. As soon as you want to try to find some kind of fault with a devotee, oh, he's not following this melody correctly, or I don't like when he sings, or whatever it may be, this person is doing like this person is doing like that. A lot of times these are like anarthas in the heart. They're things that we struggle with ourselves. We may struggle with like validation. So something that often helps me is if any of these thoughts, they might come into the head sometimes. Immediately you praise the devotee in your mind, like actually glorify him and realize actually how special this devotee actually is. This person is giving everything to try to serve God to his full capacity in that time. So the devotees are very, very special people, and there's no reason to be envious of them, because they're our well-wishers as well. Just as Srila Prabhupada was, they want the best for us. To try to develop this kind of attitude, it takes time. I in no way have developed it, fully. But I trust that in time, that by following this process, you will begin to recognize that how special these devotees are, and will actually not have any envy towards any living entity. And in terms of being like envious towards a materialist, they're in complete ignorance, so we shouldn't be envious of any behavior that they do or any activity that they do. We should feel sorry for them and try to help them out of it. So that wasn't much insight, but I hope it helped a little bit. Hare Krishna. Does anyone else have any comments or questions, responses? Okay. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastre Hoy. That's what Murari was talking about. We need devotee association, Sadhu Sangha. So thank you for your association, dear devotees, and thank you for kindly hearing Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.